community is so supportive of each other. Was there something that sticks out that helped you in your writing career that you gained from coming to Malice?
Actually, yes. Just meeting the authors and talking to them. I know Julia Spencer Fleming is a guest at this Malice, and I didn't meet her here, but I met her at the Virginia Festival of the Book. And she was one author that I spoke with, and she encouraged me. And she said, don't give up, just keep writing. And, if you stick with it, you will find that you'll be successful. And so it was very special for me. Also, one year I met Mary Higgins Clark and her daughter, Carol Higgins Clark. Again, I was not published yet, and I was writing not quite mysteries, but kind of a suspense and a historical fiction. And Carol was so gracious that she said, please just use my name, and this is an agent friend of mine, and contact her. And to me, that was just so wonderful and so helpful that, that she would reach out to me that way. So I agree. Mystery writers are lovely.
You have a couple of books in your lap.
I do.
So why don't you tell our audience all about what type of books you write and what you've got going on here?
Okay, so this is my first series. It's a Beth Getty mystery series. The heroine is Shabeel Beth Getty. She's an Irish-born fashion model who has a sixth sense, which she calls Fae. She believes that her Fae leads her to help solve crime. Not that she set out to be an amateur sleuth, but it just turned out in the first book that a friend of hers, who is a very self-centered actress, nanny, winds up murdered in her beach house. And so this is very upsetting to her. And because Beth had met the nanny and she just felt a connection to the murdered girl, so she felt inclined to try to find out the truth about her murder. In the second book, which is called Death Unmasked, Beth and her husband, who is a former homicide detective with the Sheriff's Department in Los Angeles, they finally get to take a honeymoon after 10 months of marriage, and they go to Venice. Well, her husband, Shane, his hobby is architecture, and Andrea Palladio, the famous Venetian architect, is one of his favorites. So they go to Venice to see his work. He was a Renaissance architect. They're not there but a few hours when they run into a corpse.
Funny how that happens.
Yes. On his face is glued on a Bantam mask, as you can see on the cover, and his body is floating in a canal. So Beth, of course, is very curious about this. Her husband is saying it's none of your business. As she says, well, we are on our honeymoon. So they continue having a nice honeymoon until there's another murder. The same way, except this time it becomes very personal for Beth. So she does get involved. And I also recently am now under contract with a new series, which is a cozy series. And that one is about, the main character's name is Becca, and she wants to be a painter, but doesn't want to be a starving artist. And she lives in a small town based on Ellicott City, where I'm from, on Main Street. And her best friend opened up a lingerie shop. And this is not going very well in this very conservative little town. But she also collects antique lingerie. And so there's a Civil War ghost also in the story. And Hollywood comes to town.
Oh.
And with that comes a murder.
As it always does with Hollywood.
Yes.
Well, that's lovely. That's a really interesting story. We love Ellicott City. I'm from Baltimore. Tracy's from Bel Air, so we're hometown girls.
Right.
So
if you're
great.
familiar with Ellicott City, you'll be able to see it in the book, even though it's called Bailey's Landing. And my three rescue show cats are prominent in the book. And their personalities are exactly like in real life, and they are there. So it's really a lot of fun. So that book will be coming out the end of September.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun, especially if you're familiar with the area.
Right.
So, well, that was lovely. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us, taking time out of this crazy whirlwind of a conference. We wish you all the luck with your books and your series. Do you have a website where our listeners can find all
I
about
do,
you?
and it's Karen Erie Smithson Books. So
Okay.
thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you too.
Okay. I will see you shortly at your panel.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
We would like to welcome to the program Charlaine Harris, and I'm sure I don't think she needs an introduction, but for those of us who may have lived in a cave, she has so many series, and she had some TV programs. So what is Charlaine up to now?
Well, primarily I'm a grandmother. Right now I'm working on the 5th book in the Gunny Rose series. The 4th one will come out in November. It's called A Serpent in Heaven. And the 5th one has no title yet, but I'm having a great time working on it. I love changing things around, as you probably have realized if you've seen
Wow, she spans like.
I think if you're scared of something, you should do it.
Oh, I love that.
So after I wrote conventional mysteries for a while, I decided to write something with every element of the supernatural in it I could imagine, and that was a lot of fun and worked out really well for me.
That was Sookie.
Sookie, yeah. And then I wrote the Midnight Texas books, but there were only 3, sadly. And then
Aurora Tea Garden. Who
and
is
the
my
Aurora Tea
favorite.
Garden, yeah. That was my first series. I wrote 2 standalones, and then I started the Aurora books because my mother was a librarian.
Oh.
And I had this idea that if I wrote about a librarian, libraries would buy the book. And that turned out to be accurate.
Wow.
Wise mother.
So really, libraries kept that book alive and engendered more. And I really enjoyed writing them. Her character is probably the closest to my own character of any of the ones I've written.
One question I've always wanted to ask you, were you happy with the True Blood series?
Happy all the way to the bank.
That's right. I love it.
Really, when you sign over characters to be adapted, that is the end of your involvement, truly. I mean,
You have to lose.
they have you on the set and they do your picture with the actors, and that is all very informational and delightful and so different from anything I ever thought I would have. I did a red carpet, so scary. But, a new skill.
I thought the casting was.
And the casting was amazing.
Yeah,
The music was
yeah.
amazing. The
Yeah.
scripts.
Oh, I love the theme song. I
Oh,
think I
yeah.
still have it on my playlist.
And that guy is the nicest guy.
Really?
He is so cute. But it was all a learning curve, and of course, some things I was less happy about, some things I was very happy about. But in the end, it was their vision of my work, not my vision of my work.
That's true. That's true. Could you give our listeners a little elevator pitch of your new series so they can learn a little more about that?
For the past few years, I've been writing the Gunny Rose series. Gunny is a woman who is a professional shooter. She is a protector. She gets hired to protect cargo of all kinds, human and goods.
Right now.
It is. And that's her job. She's very young, but that is her skill. And in an America that's broken apart into 5 different countries, she has to use her sellable skill. And these books are set in the 1930s.
Oh,
So lots of research, but fun, interesting. I enjoy writing her. She started as a short story, and then I thought, I think I could write a whole book about this character. And I did, and Saga Press took it, a division of Simon & Schuster. And so now I'm on my 5th book.
Wonderful.
That's
Yes.
wonderful. So you really like to challenge your brain cells
I
to
do.
go in different directions. That's amazing, because I think some writers get pigeonholed into this they're just kind of writing by rote.
Well, that's certainly possible, and I respect the viewpoint that you have to do what sells.
That is
Because,
very true.
we all need to make a living.
Right.
But I also know that to keep myself in the game, this is what I have to do.
Yeah, very true. Well, Charlaine, it was such a pleasure to have you on the
need your
program.
website.
Can you give our listeners your website so they can find, if they have never heard of you,
Well-
your books and your...
I'm approachable on Facebook on my professional page, and I have a website, which is just www.charlaineharris.com, not afraid to be obvious. And also, I'm accessible on Twitter at Real Charlaine.
Real sharp.
Real Charlaine, because weirdly, there are a lot of fake Charlaines.
Oh, really?
I've
You could
got,
probably write a book about that.
I don't even want to delve into that. That is weird.
Trying to take credit for your
I don't know what they're trying to do. That's like beyond me.
yeah. Well, thank you very much
Can
for...
We are thrilled to introduce Leslie Karst, who writes the Sally Solari Mystery Series. And we join Leslie as she tells us how many times she's come to Malice.
How many years and how many times is a different answer because of, the COVID. Yeah.
The dark time.
The dark times. But I don't know, I think maybe 6 or 7, because I came right before my first book came out, and I think it came out in 2015 or 16. Am I doing the math right? A few. I've been around this rodeo, but not like not like the faithful few, no.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a book club, mystery book club, where we started getting interested in, well, we've always been interested in mysteries, but we didn't even hear about Malice until a couple years ago, right before the one we came to, right?
Becca, the
Right.
girl, told us about it.
So it's not, I guess, not widely known. I don't know.
I think, I don't know. I'm not sure how you would find out about it if you weren't already in the milieu, because I heard about it because once I got a publisher and started talking to other mystery authors. I think I heard about it because I went to the California Crime Writers Conference, which happens every other year in Los Angeles. And it was when I was just writing my first book, and I think I must have heard about it there.
It was just a curiosity.
It's amazing. We interview, I don't want to say they're necessarily first-time authors, but they're new to the genre, and we always ask, have you been? What's Malice? I'm really curious about how many people do not.
I think they probably have ads in things like Mystery Scene magazine and that kind of sort of thing. So if you're a mystery reader, you might read about it. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Well,
And I
it's
was
just curiosity.
I love that it's called that because and once you've been to it a few times, you just sort of throw the word around. Oh, I'm going to Malice, and Malice is great. And if somebody's eavesdropping on you, oh, Malice was terrific this year, and they're like, what? It's like, and I love that. It's like a secret.
Yeah. So, if you had to pick the best piece of advice you've gotten from,
Best piece of advice I've ever gotten at Malice or just in general?
let's stick with Malice.
I was going to say, though I'm probably, whether I can remember where I heard it is a question. So I can pretend I heard it at Malice. Best piece of advice. Well, when I was pitching, the best advice I got was don't give up. And this is the advice I give people. Don't give up. It took me over 120 queries before I got an agent that was interested in my manuscript. And that was just because of the timing. It happened to land on her desk right around the time she'd gotten news from Crooked Lane that they were looking for that kind of a book, and they happened at the same time, and so it's the way, agents have only so many clients. They don't take very many new people very often, and a lot of it's really just luck. You have to have a good work, but there are many more good manuscripts than there are agents, and so just persevere. I think that's at that point that for that aspect of it, that's the advice that I